Hey, it's Mr. Haas here, and today I want to talk to you about length and tools that we use to measure length, because there's a lot of them out there. So, you should already know, if you've watched my previous videos, that length is how far it is between two specific points, or what the distance is between any two sets of points. So, for example, we have this ramp here. If I want to know the length of this ramp, I want to know how far is it from this point to this point. If I have a longer ramp here, I might want it from this point to this point. I could ask, how far is it from my house to school? So these are all lengths or distances that we are measuring. So lots of different ways to measure, but I want to talk about the couple of ways that we are going to measure length in class. And we're going to start with the most basic way, which is the ruler. Okay, this is the most basic tool, the one you're probably most familiar with. Now, a lot of times we use rulers to draw nice straight lines, but we can actually use them to measure how long something is, or an object's length or distance. So when we take a look at this ruler, we see that we have all these numbers on it, and there's actually two different sets of numbers here, and they are different sizes. And that's the first thing that we're going to talk about, is the difference between our standard unit and our metric unit. So standard unit is what we use in the United States. That's going to be your inches and your feet and your yards, okay? And the standard unit is an inch, and these are right here. So we have 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, and so on to 12. Now, we will talk a little bit more about this in the next video, but I just wanted you to see that most of the ones that we have do have different numbers on them. So, if we are going to measure the length of something, we always start by lining up this first line right here. It should have a 0. It doesn't. That would make it easier, but it's always this line right here. And if we want to measure, let's say, this ramp, okay, we are going to, I'll turn it this way for you. I am going to, it's going to be upside down for you, but that's okay. I'm going to line it up right to the edge there, and then I'm going to see how far down it goes. And notice I started on the side with the 1, so I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, almost 12 inches. It actually is about 11 3/4. All right, so that is how we use a ruler. So this is called a ruler. Measures up to 12 inches or 31 centimeters. All right, next we have what's called a yardstick, and I'm going to back up here. So a yardstick is actually made up of 3 of these rulers. All right, so if you put 1, 2, 3 of these rulers end to end, you will get a yardstick, or 36 inches. So these are for measuring things that are a little bit longer. So you don't have to get 2 or 3 of these and lay them next to each other. You can go ahead and get a yardstick. And you know it's a yardstick because it only goes up to 36 inches. All right, that's how we know it's a yardstick. Now, something in our classroom that looks kind of familiar to that is a meter stick. And we're going to talk about the meter stick. Now, it looks almost just like it. The only difference is it's longer, okay? Because it's a little bit longer than a yard. That's why it's called a meter stick. So these actually have 39 inches. So it's about 3 inches longer, because it is actually equal to a meter, or 100 centimeters, okay? So a meter stick and a yardstick, they both have a very, very similar purpose. It's just the meter stick is about 3 inches longer. So both of these are great tools to measure maybe the length of the classroom, the length of a table. Again, instead of having to use a bunch of these, a bunch of rulers, and lay them side by side by side by side, you can have one of these that will measure a greater distance. Now, in my classroom, I also have a measuring tape, okay? So this is the longest tool that I have in my classroom. And the reason I like this one, as you can see, is it's nice and bendable and foldable. and you could actually measure around an object with it, which is awesome. You cannot do that with a meter stick or a yardstick or a ruler because it is flexible. Now, this one does not have inches. This one only measures centimeters. If you want to measure inches, you're going to have to use one of the other tools. But the other good thing about this is it's actually 1.5 meter sticks. It's 150 centimeters, so it's a lot longer. So if you have something that's longer than the meter stick, you can try to use this, what we call a tape measure, because it's flexible like tape. Or if you want to measure something small, you could do that too. So let's say here I have my longer piece of track, and if I lay this down in here, I see that it is exactly, and I know it's upside down, but 60 centimeters. So I can use that to measure my track. And you're going to be doing this in class, okay? So it's really important you know the difference between a tape measure, a ruler, and then your meter sticks and yardsticks, okay? So you gotta make sure you use the right tool. If you don't, it becomes a little more tricky to measure something. So we're gonna try it out in class. You're gonna be pros by the time we're done. I just wanted this nice refresher for you so that you know the difference between the different tools. Now, I challenge you that if you guys are at home, ask your parents or your grandparents, whoever's house you're at, ask them if they have a tool like this, or do they have something different, a different tool to measure length, and see if you have one of these at your house, because that would be awesome. And if you do, go practice measuring, all right? Have a great day, guys.